Happy Friday and welcome to the AM show on Joy News, your home of independent, fearless and credible journalism. Before I get into the lineup for today, I do want to share my proverb with you, and later when Benjamin comes on we can talk about what it means deeply. It's simply that devi ikanya shikloklo devi ka klona shinyua okla machichi edunaun. Translate: a child who knows how to wash his or her hands well sits and dines with his elders. This is how I'm welcoming you to the show. Later on, I'll bring you the deeper meaning of that when Benjamin joins me. But my name is Sweetie Abochi, and in a bit, I'll be serving you the news. After that, we'll get into the news review. And today, CNN Heroes Awards winner, Osei Boateng, will be our guest to review the news. And then we'll get into AM Sports, where Muftan Abil Abdullahi will present his segment. So what are we doing today for our big stories? But before that, Benjamin's blunt thoughts comes to you later on in the show, and you do not want to miss that. In our big stories today, it's a World Consumer Rights Day. This day is observed annually, underscores the importance of consumer rights in the global market space. The theme for this year is fair and responsible AI for consumers. So here in Ghana, the Chartered Institute of Marketing Ghana is holding an event to commemorate the day. We'll be live from that event today as well. And then we open the phone lines for you to have your say, and we get the conversation going. This is the AM show. Welcome. Now, let's get into the news. This is the AM News. Let's begin. Now, the disruption in internet supply across the country had a far-reaching effects on the daily activities of Ghanaians. One of the mobile internet service customers recounts to Joy News how her pay slip processing for onward payment of her salary and other allowances could not be transmitted, leaving her hanging in the balance and uncertain about whether her monthly salary will be paid. More details in this report.
Internet users in Ghana have been hard hit by the sudden disruption in supply of mobile and fixed internet services across the country. Sector regulator, the National Communications Authority, says the problem is attributable to multiple undersea cable disruptions. Even as technicians work around the clock to resolve the crisis, some Ghanaians say a cut in the internet supply is having a toll on their daily activities and businesses.
Yeah, I use MTN, I use Vodafone. Today it was a hell for me. Since morning till now, I cannot be able to access my Zoom. Even to print out my payslip was a wahala the whole day. I couldn't print it.
Your payslip?
Yes. Very serious. And then it close tomorrow. I have to print it tomorrow. And here is the I can't print it out.
Which means that basically you might lose out on your...
Basically, yes. I don't know what actually they want to use it for, but they say we should provide it by tomorrow at 8 a.m. And here is the case. The network is not working. I cannot access it. I cannot print it out.
When did you realize your internet was not working?
This morning, 8 a.m. Started this morning, 8 a.m. to now.
We use the internet always as in a form of receiving files, yes, retrieving and all those stuff. So we need internet for our daily works. But today with the internet connection, we felt that if you sent a file like just now, it will take you an hour or two before it sends, and we got to know that the network especially has a problem.
Yeah, I was a bit affected, but I used MTN, so it wasn't too much. I think it was with work that network was down, so we couldn't do much, but on my phone it's quite okay. I think it's just WhatsApp that's down. But with Snapchat, it's okay. So,
when did you realize?
Well, colleagues started complaining about it, but I was doing some work off the internet, so I didn't really mind. So I was just on my phone because I use MTN. It was better.
The National Communications Authority says it is working to resolve today's disruptions in internet supply across the country. The problem has been attributed to some undersea cables that have been cut in parts of Côte d'Ivoire, Senegal and Portugal. Ghana has felt the impact, with many internet users expressing their frustration about the disruption in internet supply for today.
No, but they should try and do something about it because it has really affected our work today. Sending message to the house, sending message to an individual is not going through at all.
So up to now, I've still not done my assignment. I'm hoping that maybe by the close of the day, I'll have a better network.
This problem because Ghanaians, we're already suffering with one or two things. So this internet is what brings us some joy or something else. So we beg them, we should do something about it.
Leslie Sugan reporting for Joy News, Accra.
Now, some mobile telephony users have also been counting their losses and expressing frustrations over the disturbance in the internet supply.
Yeah, I didn't even notice. So I thought maybe it was my bundle or something. So it was later I checked the bundle, I still had bundle, and then later I saw people posting it like MTN and stuff, so I was like, maybe there's a problem.
So how has it affected you? Has it affected you in any way?
Well, not really. I was just bored. Like instead of maybe being on social media, I was just sitting down. Oh yeah, and I was unable to send messages, WhatsApp messages.
When I got to know that the network wasn't, the internet wasn't working, I tried to send an SMS, but still was not going through, so I stopped. And up to now, as I'm talking to you, the SMS is not still going through. I needed a response from the person, but I didn't get it up to now.
It has really affected me because after work I wanted to get home very quick. I was trying to access Bolt to get in touch with the customer, but it was a problem. I think it started around 1 p.m. yes, and it's still happening.
I use Vodafone, and not even just today. So today was very, very bad. I was expecting WhatsApp messages and some calls from WhatsApp. And what the internet is very bad today. I'm not able to receive my messages and stuff. So I don't know what they're doing. My Vodafone is I don't know what they're doing about the network and stuff. Yeah, I learned I've taken over from Vodafone, which we don't understand what is going on. I called to send money to my uncle outside. And because of the internet, I couldn't get a call. So I've lost.
Oh. And Deputy Ranking Member of Parliament's Communications Committee, Sam George, says the incident should be investigated thoroughly because of its implications on the sovereignty of the country.
Well, it's a worrying situation, and it's one that anyone who thinks about the sovereignty of the country and the economic impact, not to talk of the national security impact, will be very, very concerned, that we can have the kind of blackout we've had. I realize and reckon that we're beginning to see some limited service on some of the platforms, but clearly this must lead us to have a national conversation on what is critical national infrastructure and how we run it. There are issues of who owns them, what kind of redundancies do we have as a country. These are all critical issues that we must begin to think about, not to talk about the loss. In this country, we don't take statistics very seriously, but if this was another jurisdiction, by close of today, we would have had from the statistical service the cost to the economy of Ghana, because don't forget that people would need to connect to the internet to clear goods at the ports today. That would literally be impossible, so the ports will literally have grinded to a halt. And private businesses that offer services to clients outside the country by working online have all been affected and offline. The cost to business alone, the economy of Ghana today, give or take, could run into the hundreds of millions of dollars if we look at that.
The Chamber of Telecom says it investigates. Who would you want to see? Well,
The question I'll be interested in is how is it that we have 5 sea cable landings in Ghana, and in one suite, all 5 are either taking out or we have limited capabilities. I thought it was just the wax, but it appears that the effect goes beyond wax, because wax is the MTN cable. What's happening to Main 1? What's happening to Glow 1? What's happening to all the fiber cables that are coming into Ghana, the 5? Because if wax was down, we could have easily piggybacked on Main 1 for some temporary, but it looks like all of them are either having no service capabilities today or very limited service capabilities, and that's worrying. And that should be something we should investigate and make sure that we take concrete steps to ensure never again do we have such situations. Imagine this happening on the 7th of December.
Minister for Works and Housing, Kojo Oppong-Nkrumah, says there's no chance victims of the Akosombo Dam spillage disaster will be relocated to the Saglemi Affordable Housing Project. 6 months after the disaster, victims are still living in tents, forcing Member of Parliament for North Tongu to file a question in Parliament asking for a relocation to the abandoned facility. Kojo Oppong-Nkrumah says the Saglemi project is currently not hospitable as it is without electricity and water. Parliamentary Affairs correspondent Kweku Asante reports.
It's been 6 months since the floodgates of the Akosombo Dam was opened, leaving in its wake destruction never seen before in the country. NDC MPs for the affected people have been raising loads of concerns about government's lethargy in moving in to respond to the concerns of victims. So many victims are still living in tents. Works and Housing Minister Kojo Oppong-Nkrumah says government is still gathering data, but first he responds to concerns that government should relocate these victims to the Saglemi Affordable Housing Project until government is able to fully resettle these persons.
The Saglemi Affordable Housing Project is currently not habitable. Electricity and water have not yet been extended to the site. In addition, the site lacks basic sewage systems, making it uninhabitable in its current state. Mr. Speaker, moving victims of the Akosombo Dam spillage to Saglemi Affordable Housing Project is tantamount to resettlement, as government will have to move the people from their communities to a new location.
Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa is disturbed that Ghana can spend millions of dollars to host African Games, but do not have enough to resettle these victims.
It's 6 months after the disaster. Thousands are living in tents, congested classrooms. In preparation for the Africa Games, your government was able to find $60 million to renovate hostels at the University of Ghana for games, $60 million.
Honorable member, just go on with the question.
So 6 months.
Kojo Oppong-Nkrumah says 6 months down the line, government is gathering enough data to inform its decision on what it has to do for these victims.
Currently, state institutions are working to provide the necessary support to the affected communities. Work is also ongoing to collect background information that will inform government decision on resettlement of the affected communities.
Member of Parliament for South Dai, Roxanne Nelson Dafia-Mekpo, on the floor of the House is not happy with the urgency with which government is moving in to help these victims.
This is a disaster that affected in excess of 50,000 people. And as soon as this occurred, a 13-member interministerial committee was set up, chaired by the Chief of Staff. And it's been over 6 months. So for the minister to be saying that stakeholder consultations are still ongoing and that they are now trying to ascertain numbers, Mr. Speaker, the people need to be resettled.
The minority said they will continue in their fight to get justice and resettlement packages for the victims of the Akosombo Dam spillage disaster that happened 6 months down the line. The Volta Regional Minister, Archibald Lecha, had early on told Joy News government was still engaging traditional authorities to get enough land for resettlement packages. But with North Tongu MP and his partners having gone ahead of government and having instituted private residential places for these victims, the call and the pressure is on government to act immediately. And the new Works and Housing Minister is having to bear all this pressure. Reporting for Joy News, Kweku Asante, Parliament House, Accra.
In other stories, residents of La Paz and Alajo in the Greater Accra region are lamenting the recent power outages. They say the intermittent power supply is affecting their businesses, destroying the gadgets, both home and at work. They want the Electricity Company of Ghana to fix the problem or provide the public with a timetable.
Is Dumso back? Well, the Energy Ministry and the Electricity Company of Ghana say it isn't. But some Ghanaians have complained bitterly about their recent experiences with intermittent power supply. They say it is affecting their businesses and destroying their gadgets.
Charlie, I know your shit. Because when they off their lights since morning around 8, unless evening around 6, that lighting, and it's very bad. It's affecting our job, you see. You see this kind of job we do. Without lights, we can't do anything. And we are not surviving because we are surviving because of the lights. You see. So if the doomsday is starting there, man, we are dead.
Actually, the power outages is very frequent in our area here. And for the case of business, no, those of the tenants that are using it for ice water, that destroy their business. And especially this man is a photographer. Normally they use the electricity to do and to affect them. And the heat, when it happens in the night, you can't sleep. You can't sleep.
It's affecting us very bad because there are days, it's like when you're about to work and then all of a sudden the lights will go off. And I think on Wednesday or Tuesday, we were here around 9 or so. Then there was no lights. We have several customers that pass by. Some of them want to retouch their hair, some of them want to do washing, but we are not able to do that. So we have to send them, go every with the braiding. Because of that, we have to buy gas cylinder in case when someone finish braiding, there is no light, we have to heat water separately. So that's the challenges we are going to go.
They're calling on the Electricity Company of Ghana to provide a timetable so they know when to adequately prepare.
Yeah, we agree because normally when it's going off, we are not aware and we haven't prepared. Probably you may have some things in the fridge that will get spoiled. So definitely we need, if really there's the situation, we have to get a timetable so that you can program for it. But the way it is, all of a sudden, sometimes a day, 2 times.
They have to tell us, maybe today the light will go off. Do you understand? For us to know. But they won't tell anything, they won't say anything. You are just sitting down, then you see the lights off. We are doing something serious. Last time we were braiding someone's hair. Lights off. We have to let the person go.
The intermittent power supply is not exclusive to the Greater Accra region, as some other regions, including the Ashanti region, have also complained of recent power outages. But when does it come to an end? Time will tell. For Joy News, Kenneth Jesse.
I think many Ghanaians share the sentiments that at least we should have a timetable to prepare for what's coming. But in other stories, Project Manager of Arts and Culture at the British Council, Andrew Intua-Mensah, says arts and culture play a crucial role in boosting the economy through providing market access for creatives. He says the British Council has enumerated several programs, including an exchange program that will allow idea sharing between Ghana and the United Kingdom. The festival, organized annually by the Nubuke Foundation Center for Textiles and Clay, showcases the rich art and culture of the Upper West region. Rafiq Salam reports from Wa.
The festival aims to promote the wealth and wealth of weaving traditions in the Upper West region, renowned for its weaving skills. With a special focus on the weaving and pottery community, the festival seeks to drive economic transformation by intentionally leveraging as a catalyst for growth. The 3-day festival attracted communities and schools from the Nodolo-Keleo district, Wa and Nando municipalities. The festival is held on the theme, a festival of our weaving traditions, weaving a sustainable future for the next generation. Dignitary participants were guided through the exhibits on the grounds to witness the diverse expressions of art and culture on first hand. In a speech, the executive director of Numbuke Foundation, Madame Odilia Tevier, mentioned that more than 2,000 people have attended the festival since its inception in 2021.
Since the inception of our festival in 2021, we have welcomed over 2,000 visitors who have witnessed the exponential growth of participation in the center's activities. Much as our work is focused on design and artistic side, we identify other needs of weavers and seek to address them with partnerships. Through the 3-year EU Hour program, we partnered with PEP, a local organization, to train over 22 master weavers in business and accounting procedures in 2023.
Project Manager of Art and Culture at the British Council, Andrew Incho-Mensah, observed that art and culture are major contributions to the country's economy.
We believe that the arts and culture holds the key to contributing to our economy through market access for our creatives. And by market access, we are not looking at just one art form, but we're looking at art forms that includes music, film, literature, fashion, and the rest. To enhance the enterprise side for creatives, the British Council has introduced an online platform, which is the So Creative e-learning platform for creatives, young people, to access it. And this came to mind, or this was done because we want to transcend borders.
The British Council's project manager of art and culture also spoke of an exchange program that will allow idea sharing between Ghana and the UK.
At the British Council, we support the creative arts and culture through our creative economy work by providing grants and also showcasing the work like it's been done here of creatives. We also contribute to policy that will shape the creative arts here in Ghana. Again, too, we provide exchanges for creatives to kind of learn and share the different things that we have as Ghanaians with countries in the UK. And I think that with what we do, this is one of the things that we want to exchange as much as possible.
Representing the Upper Osuja Minister, Dr. Hafiz bin Sali, at the festival is his personal assistant political, Megora Abdurrahman. Reporting for Joy News, Rafik Salam. Hello.
Now, the Ghana National Association of Private Schools has pledged to support any political party that shows the will to address pertinent challenges confronting private school operations and management. The association laments exorbitant regulatory charges, property rates, and hikes in the cost of doing business. Members have indicated their keen interest in seeking redress from any political party that will show concern. Here's a report by Clinton Yabwa.
There are over 300 private schools in the Afija Kwabre South District of Ashanti Region alone. These schools complement government's efforts to expand access to education for all school-going population. The schools, however, feel sidelined in the rollout of some government's policies in the education sector. Chairman of the Ghana National Association of Private Schools in the district, Nicholas Bambuni, says members are being suffocated with exorbitant charges for providing services which in some cases ought to be free. He is calling on authorities to abolish nuisance tax, scrap the 30% priority placement system, and reveal operational charges from the National Schools Inspectorate and the National Teaching Council.
They should scrap that 30% out of it. They should make sure that this BEC, with the registration last year 170 cities, this year, do you know how much they are collecting? 214 Ghana cities. NTC is taking 250 Ghana cities from our teachers in order to register them, because they say if they don't register them, they will not allow them to teach. 250 Ghana cities. Where are they going to get this money? NASIA is taking 800 Ghana cities from our students, from the schools. 800 Ghana cities every year. 800 Ghana cities. You go to a school, we have about, maybe they have about 200 students. 200 students. He's going to pay the teachers from it. He's going to pay SNIT from it. You are telling them to pay 800 Ghana cedis. How are they going to get the money? So what happens is, when the placement comes, they will give the allocation for private schools 30% for government schools. And ours will now be shared with 70% with the government schools again. So at the end, our schools, our students don't get the A schools.
Nicholas Bambuni spoke at the Ghana National Association of Private Schools Week celebration. He indicated the association's readiness to support any political party that captures the concerns in its 2024 manifesto.
And that is why we are saying this year, we as private schools are going to play politics. This year, we are ready to play politics. And people should not joke or underestimate our numbers, because if you look at our numbers as we speak, even the tertiary, the learner population, we have about 1.5 million. Even the students too, we have over almost 200,000. So we are not here to play. This year, election year, my brother, private schools, we are going to play politics.
The Education Director of Efija Kwabre South, David Akomia, highlighted the positive roles of private schools in the district, while calling for external support. He assures the association of a dialogue to look into the concerns raised.
Since assuming office in 2022, there has been a total collaboration with the private schools. The fact being that they are all helping to educate the Ghanaian child just every year. So I will plead with the authorities that maybe if it cannot be a wholesale, but they can look at situational issues in terms of district-wise, because if you come to Efija Kwabre, like I'm saying, we have over 300 of them, about 1,000 people registering for BEC. But you go to a different district, there might be maybe 200 or 300 or so people. So I would suggest that if they can look at it, then look at it on basis of the number of schools in each region, but in each district, so that something can be done about it.
Reporting for Joy News, Clinton Yebo.
On that note, we wrap up for the AM News on the AM Show. Up next is the news review. Stay with us. And it's officially the Benjamin and Sweetie Show. We're back on your screens for the news review. In the M4, a lot of the Vatamanam.
Why?
The proverb I gave this morning, I'm telling Benjamin about it.
Okay.
It's
the action with your hands for me. Like, what the heck are you doing?
I'm trying to give you cues and clues. So, the akoda, it's only in Sahobro, only in Penifo no mudiji.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd like to know what you think this means.
Because I'm thinking of our misleaders and politicians. Well, not all of them are that this morning. I think I'll go with Quatrekwa se obama ontuma tienidi.
Quatrekwa
se obama ontuma tienidi.
Who is Quatrekwa? Or who is a Quatrekwa? Who would you describe as?
So this person has no clothes. It's literally a pauper, no clothes, someone who doesn't have clothes. But the person is promising you a piece of cloth. And they say, listen to the person's name. In other words, when people come making wild promises, pay attention, because they just might be, as we say here, giving you fanfu respect. I think in English, you could also render it as, you can't give what you don't have. So in an electoral year, a lot of these people will be coming around saying this or that, but do they have it in them to actually do that? That's the question. Okay. Yeah, so that's my proverb.
But mine simply means that if you know how to talk and act, you just might be invited to the seat of, the high table, to sit and dine with your elders.
You may dine with kings.
Kings, I like that.
And queens, yeah.
Yesterday, NDC parliamentary candidate for Ifutu constituency.
Alexander Afenyomake.
No, NDC.
Oh, you mean the parliamentary candidate, James Kofi Annan.
James Kofi Annan.
Right.
He,
what did he say?
He said something about Okwasiase. I've forgotten it. but I thought it was something to think about. It stuck with me. The interpretation of it stuck with me for a while. I just can't remember what exactly he said. But anyway, this is a news review, and Benjamin is my guest this morning.
I am, and I'm going to be talking about Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. I hear it was, bombastic yesterday with Endpoint Homeopathic.
I know this. You think there's a story there, so I'm just going to tell you the story right
now. No, I don't think there's a story. I'm just going to talk about Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. Why do you think there's a...
You see, that's...
I'm going to talk about Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic.
So yesterday, as you know, Dr.
What's she talking about? There's no story.
Okay.
There's absolutely no story. What's his name again, Dr. What?
So we hosted a representative from Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic yesterday.
Right.
And, I kept telling the audience, our viewers, that, we talk about them a lot. And so it was good that they joined us yesterday for a stint.
Right.
And before the gentleman walked in, I don't know why, I was expecting someone more elderly.
Okay.
And so he walked in and he was a young man, dashing young man. And because I made such comments, I think it went well.
It went well,
eh? About Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic.
Well, what I know is what I am going to share with you. Now, if you're out there and you've not been getting yourself screened, that's not a good thing. We're like vehicles, right? Advanced forms of vehicles. Vehicles need maintenance, machinery needs maintenance, and so do we. We also need maintenance in terms of regular health checks. And that's why Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic is offering you prostate screening for free and fertility screening if you're a woman for free. All you have to do is reach out to them at any of their branches. Now, here in the crowd, they are at Spintex opposite the Shell signboard. There's Kumasi, Kronomabwe here behind the Angel Educational Complex. There's Takrady Anaji Estate. There's Tema Community 22. There's Techiman Hanswa and Esiama in Zama. Their call lines are 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. And now we can get into the newspapers. I have the Daily Graphic and the New Finder. What do you have?
I have the Ghanaian Times and the Daily Guide newspaper. But before I get into the newspaper, I'm just more relieved to hear that the management of Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital have called off their strike after some engagements with the appropriate authorities. Yesterday, we know there was a crunch meeting to see how best they can resolve this accommodation issue. And so that's a very good news for me because we saw how some of the outpatients were stranded. They didn't know what their fate would be because there were no doctors on call. So whatever the outcome of that meeting, hopefully their grievances are actually resolved and not just...
I may not say have been resolved, but may be in the process of getting resolved. In fact, today it is one of the crucial issues I'm talking about in my blunt thoughts.
Okay.
Let me just share the title with you. So it is CAF on its knees and African Games without game. CAF on its knees and African Games without game. How Ghana's misleaders keep letting us down. And I'll be sharing my thoughts on that because some of the things I'll be talking about in terms of the African Games and where we are and over the years, things that have happened, culminating in where we are, you'd be pleasantly surprised.
I'm looking forward to it,
Yeah.
Since I'm a fan of yours and all.
Should we talk about whom you're a fan of?
I'm a fan of you, Benjamin. And that's it. That's it.
Should I make any references?
No, please.
Okay, all right. We'll leave it there. So, let's start with the Ghanaian Times. What do you have?
On the front page of the Ghanaian Times newspaper, it says EC vows to deliver credible, transparent polls. Also, we have the CAT story here. It says CAT launches stroke thrombolysis service to save stroke patients. And the VIP launches the Ghana card number at birth. All this on the front page of the Ghanaian Times. And drama in court as discharged accused attempts to prevent rearrest. This is a story by Anita Nyako. I think I'd like to begin with this, Benjamin. It sounds like an interesting story. Right. So drama unfolded at the Achimota Circuit Court yesterday when accused discharged for no charge against them, held the police at bay for about an hour. Moses Eke, a Nigerian, refused to leave the courtroom in an attempt to stop the police from rearresting him. This was, it's interesting.
In an attempt to stop the police from rearresting
him. So this was after he was discharged in a stealing case involving another Nigerian and Ghana National Fire Service officer. So it was an issue between a Ghana National Fire Service officer and a Nigerian man. And after he's been discharged, he tries to prevent the police from rearresting him. My question is, why did the police want to rearrest a man after he'd been discharged?
You know what this reminds me of, though? I don't know why it's coming to mind, but the Chinese prisoner who escaped. And
How did that go? It just died down. Did
the latest is that footage, CCTV footage from a hotel building close to the prison shows that some prisons officers were in cahoots with this person. Maybe they didn't mean for the person to escape, but they had arranged, and this person was meeting his so-called wife in the precincts around the prison, right? In a certain hotel, lodge, whatever it is. And Opana, before they realized it, backdoor, Okokra, together with the so-called wife. And they used KFC and some drinks to get the prison's officers. What does that tell you?
It tells me that a lot of things happening that, make it into mainstream media is just showmanship. It's just cosmetic. The real stories or the real issues or the people involved in the issues and how they are orchestrating these things.
And the claims are that this goes as high as the highest echelons of the prison's service. But, you also cannot say that. You cannot brush all of them or paint all of them with the same brushstrokes. No. There are good ones in there. And the fact that there are a few bad nuts doesn't mean the entire soup is bad or it's getting spoiled. But there's a lot that goes on, we know. And it is what it is. Any other stories to look at?
Right. So the EC is vowing to deliver credible, transparent polls. So the Electoral Commission has described the forthcoming December 7 election as a crucial one. Of course, it's very crucial. Therefore, to deliver credible, transparent polls whose results would be accepted by all. That is according to Mrs. Jean Mensah. That is the commissioner of the Electoral Commission. And she says we should be mindful of the peculiarity of this year's election and will do all within its power to sustain the peace the country currently enjoys. We're looking forward to seeing how the elections go in December. There's been a lot of campaign activities going on from the camp of John Mahama, Baumia. There's a lot of launching activities from the camp of the NPP, I must say. Yesterday, they launched the Ghana card at Beth.
Yeah. There have been a number of those.
Yeah.
It appears there's a lot of... So as Mahama goes around on tour, they are also cutting sods and all of that.
Well,
interesting dynamics. Both of them are showing face. Charlie, you must be present. You must be there. You must be doing something.
The advantage they have,
even if that something is nothing, make something out of it.
Yeah. So, let's see how it goes. It's a crucial one, and I'm happy that the Ghanaians are now watching out for what everyone is saying. We are not just swallowing everything they say hook, line, and sinker. You're actually assessing their campaign messages. So it won't just be another fun foolery come December, especially with this power outages.
I was just getting to that.
Because we are not happy about it.
What is the situation where you are? Because right now it's becoming dampened.
I've not slept with a fan or air conditioner on for 3 days straight, Benjamin.
3 days?
3 days straight.
Are you saying it's been consistently off or it's been off and on?
Off and on, and more off than on. So the lights comes on for 2 hours, 3 hours, and they take the lights back off. Anyway, we need a timetable at least.
It reminds me of when Nigeria had NEPA, because they hold the power. They hold the power. And the other day I was in Osu. I even posted on Facebook. I was in Osu, broad day. You know how much of a bustle
I saw that post.
Osu is like. And you get into Osu, and first thing I was hearing was brrr, brrr, and I was like, okay. Then I hear the generators all through. I go into the banking enclave, there's something, then I go to a bookshop, and everyone is on. And I was just cogitating, asking myself, what would this mean for business? And if you didn't have a generator, what would that mean for? And I asked people how long it had been off, and they told me it had been off since, very early in the day, Maybe we're going to get digital electricity. Why do you laugh?
Okay, is that possible? I think that
maybe it's not scientifically
it's crucial for the current government to not shoot themselves in the foot, in the leg, by admitting that Dumso really is back. Because what we're experiencing is worse than Dumso.
But
we don't know when the power is coming
what are you
on
saying?
Or when it's going off.
You want politicians to be honest, but you don't want them to admit. Listen, you don't need to be told. Yesterday, when I had an interaction with Dr. Nyaho Nyaho-Tamakloe, he said it. I mean, the power goes off, it comes on, it goes off a lot of the time. You can't plan anything. What is that? It is Dumso. It is. And you see, that's why I keep saying that. And when NDC politicians come here as well, I try to caution them, because they may think now that, we are, so to speak, in a comfortable lead and this and that. But whatever you say, if you come to power, we'll use those same things against you. And that is what the NPP is falling. It's falling on its own sword. It's like setting a trap and falling into the trap yourself. Because what did they not say about Dumso? And how arrogant and spiteful and acerbic the remarks were. It was okay because we were with them on that. Because look, Charlie, for like 3 years, power, I mean, it was a mess, right? But if things were done to get us out of that mess, that whole, hogwash about the NPP came and did away with Dumso. How do they prove that? Who signed the IPP contracts? When were they executed? We were out of Dumso by the time you came through. We had secured an IMF program, which meant that in 2017, the economy was going to rebound. They benefited from all of that. You've not added a kilowatt of power. You have signed contracts, but not a kilowatt has been added. They are two different things. The contracts have not matured, or you've not concluded. You've not got even a kilowatt of power. You told us consistently that we had excess power. From around 2021, 2022, we did not have excess power. Now you've waited till we get here. You see, they say first fool may not be a fool, but if you're a fool the second time, you are a fool. And unfortunately, that's where the NPP is. Because someone was a fool, and you had to learn from that person's experience. You had the advantage of learning from their mistake. So if you take us back there, we'll deal with you even worse than we dealt with the first entity. And that's where the NPP finds itself. Yeah. I mean, you can't. The other day, I really got caught up. I needed to do something urgent with my laptop. I hadn't powered it in a while, and lo and behold, when I wanted to do the thing, fine. ECG decided to show me something small for my iTop. I had to drive to another location to get power to work and send that email and come back home.
You had somewhere to drive to. My phone is currently plugged in, not with me because it's dead, Benjamin. And the sad part of this post-truth, post-honesty society or environment, political environments that we're operating in right now, is that there are people close to government who can speak up about these things. But because they are fattening their purses, they would rather defend the actions of government than blatantly say, we are also suffering. So you bridge the gap between we, the populace, and you who are close to these people who have who you can speak to understand that really, that ordinary Ghanaian is suffering. This is no way to live. This is no way to live, where you don't know when your light is coming back on, when you have food, you've stored food in the fridge and it's all going bad, when you do not know for sure. Oh, all right, we should move on from this.
It's called matricule. Matricule. What else?
I saw a post from Obi Amponsa, one of Ghana's finest comedians, saying that every time your lights goes off, just pick your Ghana card and your voter identification card and smile. Because
really?
soon you will have the chance to do something about it.
Okay, I nearly said don't be so sure. But, you know, the Ghanaian electorate is very fickle. I'll leave it there.
And gullible sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But later on, I'll share some thoughts on what Nyaho Nyaho-Tamakloe shared with me. Let's get into the papers.
Great watching that interview. So now let me get into the Daily Guide newspaper before you could. So Iyoko burst for over 113.9 thousand Ghana cedis Momo fraud. The story is on page 3. The Economic and Organized Crime Office has arrested and dragged 4 persons before a circuit court in Accra for their alleged involvement in money and SIM card swap fraud scheme, which has been prevalent these days. The activities of the 4, Richmond Donko, Elias Chino, Cecilia Asabre, Salifu Ishan, and Daniel Ansomeni Bewa, according to court documents, led to the loss of 113,947 Ghana cedis belonging to an unnamed bank, but described as one of Ghana's largest bank. So Iyoko has dragged these 4 people to court.
Well, let's see how that situation.
I do want to get into the facts of this story. So the prosecution's brief fact states that on February 14th, Iyoko received a complaint from a bank that an amount of 1,139,000 had been stolen from 6 of its customers' bank accounts through a sophisticated mobile money and SIM swap fraud scheme. It said the individuals suspected of running the mobile money and SIM exchange fraud were arrested by the police in Kaswa on March 2nd, the following day. Now, the fact also said that the swapping allowed the accused persons to take control of the account holders' banking channels, that is the mobile application and USSD, allowing them to move funds from them to various bank accounts and mobile money accounts. So preliminary investigations revealed that Donko and Asabre altered the same ECOWAS ID card, that is the Ghana card, in the name of one William Ajay Kwating. They then used the altered ID card to swap phone numbers attributed to the bank. It's dangerous out here for online financial transactions. If you are not careful, all your money, just a click of a button or just receiving a message on your phone, all your money is gone. Right. So let's see how that case turns out. There's a photo here of COP Mame Yatiwa Adodankwa, the Iyoko boss. Yeah. What do you have?
I'll start with the Daily Graphic newspaper. Ghana card at birth begins, and December polls will be free, fair. You've already gone into that. That's according to the EC. Economy in last 12 months. Ghana makes progress. That's according to the IMF's managing director, Kristalina Georgieva, or Georgieva Kristalina. And then in sports, on the back page, African Games, black bombers, black hitters, and spotlight as boxing commences. African Games, LOC boss predicts more medal success for Ghana. After I'm done today, some of them may want to run away. But anyway, when I'm done with my blunt thoughts, because today, just a yasifim, a hajjin, a chat. Okay, so let me start from there. The chairman of the local organizing committee of the African Games, Accra 2023, Dr. Kweku Ofosu Asare, is hopeful that Team Ghana will win more medals than it did at the last African Games in Rabat, Morocco. I'll explain to you later why it's not even about the medal haul. But speaking to the Daily Graphic on the sidelines of the official welcome ceremony for the 13th African Games at the African Games Village, Dr. Ofosu Asare said the target was for Ghana to improve upon the medal haul from the 2019 African Games. Quote, "We want to improve on what we did in Morocco, and I believe we shall achieve that goal." Later, I'll break down to you what we did in Morocco that he says we should improve upon, and where we lie now.
13 medals?
We'll get there. And Team Ghana currently has 5 medals after 11 days of competition. And the Black Bombers too getting in there. But so the editor, graphic Theophilus Yate, was privileged to have an exclusive interview with the managing director of the International Monetary Fund, Kristalina Georgieva, on the performance of the Ghanaian economy and other relevant matters following the country's return to the institution. The interview took place ahead of a scheduled visit to Ghana tomorrow and departure on Monday. Let me get to the other details. I have to go, today is not page 3, I have to go to 24 and 25. Because it's an exclusive, so to speak, they dedicated quite a lot of time to it. So the question is posed to her, could you tell us why you are visiting Ghana? And it goes on and on. But some of the focal points. It has been wonderful to see the good progress that Ghana has made over the past year towards stabilizing the economy, fostering a broad-based recovery and investing for the future. She also says the global economy has been surprisingly resilient. After peaking in 2022, inflation is coming down faster than expected. She's talking about the global economy in most regions, and growth is holding up. But overall growth remains low. We expect global growth of 3.1% this year. Mind you, in the sub-region, especially considering some of the other countries like even Djibouti, Niger, and the rest, we are not even matching their expectations when it comes to GDP growth. We are not in the top 11 in terms of projected growth. That's how far we've fallen. Now, she says continued steadfast implementation of the government's policy adjustment and reform program will be critical to fully restore economic stability and debt sustainability into next year and beyond. Sometimes I dislike how these Bretton Woods institutions play with us when it comes to some of the facts and the figures, because they have the tail of the tape. And the talk about debt sustainability and the rest, looking at where we are, it will be quite a while before we can even use sustainable anywhere close to, in any close proximity to debt, our debt.
Have we crossed recovery before we go and sustain? This is a country spending $195 million on all African games. The outlook of it, without
if you add what they've given to the local
players.
If you add what they've given, the 195 million is infrastructure. If you add the 47.7 million, making everything 142.2 million that they've given to the local organizing committee, the 47.7 million, that's what you get, 142.2 million. In fact, $242.2 million. Do you know what that is?
Yetisikaso. Benjamin, who was it that said that? Riddle.
Let me rephrase this. Start again.
Yetisikaso.
It's we binumu disikano. And
how
I also accommodate.
Are you not?
What's accommodate?
Accommodate.
Entisikano ewehe.
All African games. And a National Cathedral.
No,
and a Ghana card
don't bring in the National Cathedral. The National Cathedral is a different monster. It's a different ball game. Please don't bring the National Cathedral into this. By the way, the cost has ballooned by No, this one is
How do we reconcile this? If we are spending this much on not what I would call priorities, or things that the nation.
But who says it's not a priority? The president said that it was his promise to God, and how can he describe something a promise made to God not a priority?
What about his promise to us?
You over God, over God, or God over you? Which one? But in terms of reconciliation, sometimes I ask myself. So, Sir David Ajay, for example, the architect and all. Now that people have taken their sums of money, maybe work done. Some have criticized how much was involved. Indeed, how do we reconcile all of this? It is there. It's a pit. We've expended so much money. We've not completed the project. You realize that if this were in private enterprise, enterprise, like this would be a big deal. Heads would have rolled. Maybe some people would be facing criminal charges for causing financial loss. We actually have stuff, right? Causing financial loss to the state. Because it wasn't just so-called donations. Taxpayers' money ended up in there, which we were not told from the start. But anyway, Ghana card at birth begins, digital. I spoke about digital electricity. Maybe we should digitalize our electricity. But let's talk about something else that's digital. The lack of integration between birth records and national identity platforms opens up a variety of potential problems and risks which impact national security, voter registration, social service delivery, and overall governance, the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, has observed. And he spoke about the Ghana card. He says the integrated Ghana card at birth system works by linking the mother's record with the Ghana card during the antenatal period. So when birth occurs in a health facility, it is captured in an electronic system. And there you go. So from birth, you have your Ghana card. That should solve all our problems.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. On paper, these policies and initiatives look so good.
Seriously, this is a very good thing.
Yeah. It's a good step. Right? Just like the National Health Insurance, just like the free senior high school policy, just like all these other initiatives that the government is just pumping into the system. But the implementation of these initiatives and policies and how it actually affects us.
That's where the devil is.
What need it is serving, or what is it really solving at this point?
So you can proffer solutions, but are the solutions actually solving any problems? As for this, I am wholly for it. I mean, identifying and all of that, it is a good thing, but how will we let it feed into the system so that it is actually solving problems? Before we go, though, I wanted to go back to two things that Dr. Nyaho Nyaho-Tamakloe shared with me yesterday, and then I will shout Sir's signature for this wonderful shirt as well. He told me yesterday that when I asked him about election 2024 and whether he thought the NPP could win the election, he made mention of the fact that unless there were some political arm twisting. In fact, he said that if that happened, then it would be that result would be what he termed the stolen verdict. And then on Vice President Bawumia, he said the Vice President was in a very tricky situation in respect of the selection of a running mate because he was not his own man. I don't know, but those are too... He said a lot of heavy stuff, but these are like super heavyweight stuff.
And from his background, I want to believe he knows exactly what he's talking
about. He knows the Vice President well.
Yes, he knows the party
He's a founding member of the NPP. Of course, there was a fallout at the point when Akufo-Addo became president, because right before the elections, he went ahead to say that, no, this and that. Those were his thoughts. He says right from where Paul Afoko and the rest were sent out, the party started crumbling. Those are his thoughts. But these two thoughts here, coming from someone who was one of the founders of the NPP, I don't know. But
what would a political arm twisting look like to actually turn the fortunes of this country? What would a political arm twisting?
Honestly, I don't want to know.
Yeah.
I don't want to think about what political arm twisting could mean, but let's just say it's a pretty tricky situation.
And for the comments about the Vice President not being a man of his own, it reflects in his comments about just being a mate, not taking responsibility for anything, that he's not actually at the forefront of any of these issues that are coming up. So
but whether former president saying whether spare driver or he is saying a mate, so many normally say a mates. Well, the former president, though, I've heard something about spare driver. I don't know about mates, though. Because, you see, even there, a spare driver, it means the person drives, right? But the mate is... How many mates actually... You get the picture?
Every time the mate...
So the analogy is some way. When I spoke to Kwame P.N.M., he said that analogy, that thing, like if I don't talk that.
Yeah, I'm sure he has his own reservations about it now. Yeah.
Like in this situation.
Go back.
Like, so you be the driver, I'm the mate.
Yeah. No. I want
yes.
I want to be the mate because then I can not take.
There are no mates on this show. We are co-drivers. But it reminds me though, Charlie.
Hey, Ghana.
Some of the mates, the conductors, Omo Paya. I'm sure our director and producer are saying stuff we can't hear. But Omo Paya, what are the most interesting ones you've heard? I mean, you'd hear, say. That's Circle. Yeah, say. That's Kwame Nkrumah Circle. I remember Santa Maria. There was one. Which one is that?
They're calling the commuters for their money. They just name you. They just call you Ajwa Kofi.
Okay. There was one I heard once and it shocked me. So the person was going like Mari Santa. Do you know where they were going?
Medina?
Santa Maria.
Hey.
There are some very interesting ones.
They make the ride entertaining if you're looking for some fun. So maybe our vice president is just trying to lighten the mood because it's so tense.
Let me salute Sir Signatures. A few days ago, I got this wonderful shirt from Sir Signatures, all the way from Sunyani Post Office Roundabout, adjacent ADB. Had to send it to me, hand-delivered, and I just have to thank you. Sir Signatures in Sunyani Post Office Roundabout, adjacent ADB. His number is 0244 055 066. 0244 055 066. If you want to be decked in something similar, you can do that. But before we go, Sweetie's favorite endpoint homeopathic clinic is offering you prostate screening for free, fertility screening also for free. That is if you're a woman. Just reach out to them at any of their branches here in Accra. Spintex, opposite the Shell signboard, Kumasi, Kronomabwe here behind the Angel Educational Complex. There's Takrady Anaji State, Tema Community 22, Techiman Hanswa, and the Siama Nzama. Their call lines 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, but still not the end of the news review. You have something to say. What is it?
I wanted to wish Kwame Ban, Bismarck Kwame Ban, a happy birthday. That's my
Bismarck Kwame Ban.
Yes, Kwame. You know Kwame Ban? Okay, so happy birthday to Kwame Ban.
Okay.
I like to say he's reached a certain level of enlightenment that most people would reach only in their 50s or 60s.
I see.
You know, he's a young man doing great things. Okay. We've been friends for a while. I appreciate you. Happy 32nd birthday. You thought I was going to talk about Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic?
Oh, no. I am going to end with Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. Now I can end
to chronic disease. And that's the end of the news review. We are back on your screens, but stay with us.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to AM Sports. Here with me, Muftawo Nabila Abla. The African Games is far gone, and Egypt continue to dominate when it comes to the medal table. They had promised that they wanted to, or they had a target of winning 60 medals. So far, they have doubled the number that they wanted to achieve in this month's African Games. But today, there's going to be boxing. This is the medal table so far. So we have Egypt seated at the top with 128 medals. Nigeria, they have got 60 medals. Algeria have got 86 medals. South Africa have got 78. There's Tunisia, which has got 56 of the medals. And Mauritius, they have 15. And Madagascar also have got 15 medals. Morocco has got 14. Eritrea has got 9. And Zimbabwe, they have got 5 medals. So this is the top 10 in the medal table at the African Games. Gets to is day 7 in the competition. And boxing will be happening later today. Ghana's Black Mommers and Black Hitters, they're going to be in action. And only one Ghanaian boxer will be fighting today. He is Abdul Baki. He will be coming up against his Tunisian opponent Halal later this afternoon at the Strasbourg Emporium. And the coach of the Ghana Black Mommers team, Coach Oforia Sare, has been speaking about his team and how they want to redeem themselves after their unsuccessful attempts of securing qualification to the Olympic Games later this year. Team Ghana had sent 7 boxers to Italy, hoping that they were going to secure tickets to the Olympic Games, but unfortunately, it never worked out as all the boxers were eliminated from the qualification series. Also, late last year, they went to Senegal with about 12 boxers seeking to secure qualification, and unfortunately, in that event as well, they were not able to do it. And now, they want to redeem themselves in this month's African Games, which is being hosted by Ghana.
Medinde Benjamin Akakpo na niameba beka achemwe nintiye no ye friend no blunt thoughts na che say ene no meka potokasa dio enso no niameba ka no ehwasem efa yapomodin ene agokansie ho. My name is Benjamin Akako. Welcome to my blunt thoughts this Friday morning. And all I was saying in Chi was that basically I'm going to be talking about our health and sports in Ghana. So I've titled these blunt thoughts, CAF on its knees and African Games without game. How Ghana's misleaders keep letting us down. CAF, of course, the Komfo Anokye Teaching Hospital, on its knees, and African Games without game. How Ghana's misleaders keep letting us down. Stay with me, and then it will be a little lengthy, but stay with me. It will be well worth your time because I want to break down some crucial issues. And I'm starting with health. Health is our wealth as human beings, but what is our health system like? And we should be concerned, especially when you look at some of the circumstances surrounding some of the deaths of crucial leaders we've had in this country. P.V. Obing, former President Atta Mills, Amy Saatha, the former Vice President, so many of them. Now we can talk about Dr. John Kuma and the story, the behind-the-scenes stories about going to a certain medical facility, not having, in fact, CAF in the picture. And wanting to be flown to Accra, having to come by road, and everything else that may have happened. Could that have been prevented? No one knows. But it's a loss to us, no matter how you feel or where you lie on the political spectrum. But let's focus on CAF for a bit, for starters, yeah? So Ghana's public health facilities dilemma. And yes, I am fully aware of the fact that there have been some negotiations with the doctors and everything, but this is the true state of affairs. The GMA is to embark on a nationwide strike in solidarity with CAF doctors if grievances are not addressed. That has been the threat, though now we hear there's been some interaction with them. And then you look at the public health facilities issue. Accommodation challenge, they are facing eviction. That is what they've said. They've said that, look, you're asking us for letters and stuff. These people are coming to us saying, you must get out of the place. These are medical doctors serving us, right? And the threat, if you don't get this sorted out, we'll embark on an indefinite strike. Now, how many are involved? At least 20 doctors and other CAF workers and doctors from other hospitals as well involved in this mess. And you know why it's a mess? For years, especially in the Ashanti region and other places, there's been a lot of talk about this, where some of these medical doctors, where some of these medical professionals live. Ramshackle buildings. We've broke, the news. We've broken the news. We've spoken about some of these issues and the dilapidated structures they are in. So this didn't just happen overnight. It's a long-standing problem. But why must it be the case? Why? Next slide. Now, if you look at Ghana's public health facilities, their dilemma in terms of average OPD attendance, and mind you, CATs, inpatient or whatever, those who go to CAF every day, every week, every month, are way more than some of the other outfits, including Kolebu and Rage, all those others. A lot of them, about 4 of them put together. But if you look at the daily averages, 1,093. Per month, that's 32,790. Do you know what that means? Per year, 393,480. You need the right systems, processes, and medical personnel to be able to deal with those numbers. But what is the situation? Recently, we went there. Yesterday, we were there. People were not getting treatment on the back of some of these issues. Next slide. Now, it gets even worse because it's not just the lack of logistics and infrastructure and, yes, even residential areas and the threat of being asked to, to be evicted. But the ECG is also in the fray. Why? They have said that they would disconnect you if you failed to pay your bills in 72 hours. That has been their directive to some of these medical facilities. Well, it's interesting, right? Because Samuel Dubik Mahama, the managing director of ECG, recently said, well, Parliament is doing its work. We are also doing our work. So I guess they are doing their work. But why should it come to this? What's the tail of the tape? Next slide. Now, if you look at the health facilities involved, as far as the ECG is concerned, you are looking at a whopping 91 91. Yes, you're seeing right. 91 of our medical facilities. Can you imagine? Cogitate, think around it. If all these 91 facilities were affected by power outages, even if intermittently, do you realize what that would do to healthcare? Do you see why sometimes I say we have misleaders? How can you think, even if other sectors of the economy are going to face these, industry and places like, look, you don't determine when I could be here right now. Within a few minutes, I could be ill. I would need emergency treatment. It could happen. And then what? So many people die needless deaths in this country because of, I'm sorry, stupidity. Some people who should do their work and are not doing it. Some systems we have the wherewithal to put in place and we are not doing it. These doctors, sometimes it's here, sometimes it's there. You can fault them in some cases, but listen, if you don't put in place the right mechanisms, imagine being evicted, thinking about your landlord evicting you or something of that nature happening, or some contractor on your neck every day. And yet you are supposed to go and concentrate. That doctor just might even prescribe the wrong medication to somebody because their mind is not where it ought to be. Why? 91. Total debt involved, 261 million Ghana cedis. But let's go further. Because if you look at the key hospitals involved, yes, your Kolebu is there. Kolebu Teaching Hospital, 10.2 million Ghana cedis. 37 Military Hospital, 33.5 million Ghana cedis. Ridge, 41.6 million. Komfo-Anokye, 27.3 million. University of Ghana Hospital, the UGMC, 2.2 million. Let's go to the next slide. Now, if you do a regional breakdown, the Greater Accra has 25 of these 91 facilities. The total sum there, 130.6 million Ghana cedis. Ashanti 15, 50.05. Western 11, 22.3. Central 7, 21.3. Volta 8, 15.2. And Eastern 10, 21.03 million. Next slide. Now, if you look at the public health facilities in terms of their internally generated funds, it becomes interesting here because we've been told a story about how they are not necessarily allowed to do anything they like with the internally generated funds. But the other side is, if they have all these sums of money, how come they owe? You get it, right? Something doesn't add up. What is going on? Because look, Kolebu, in 2023, January to September, these are actual figures, raised 112.2 million in IGF. In 2023, so in total, you're looking at 149.6 million. Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital, 83.3 million. Okay, that is January to September. If you add up the total, you're looking at around 111 million. Cape Coast Teaching Hospital, 22.7, confirmed January to September, a total sum of about 30.3 million. Whole Teaching Hospital, 20.9 million, a total of about 29.6 million. Okay, next slide. And so if those are the sums of money they are raising, the question is, what are they being used for? Are they remaining in these institutions? Does any entity, does the health system have a stake in those sums of money? If they are being retained, what are they being used for? Is it infrastructure? Because we've heard the doctors at CAF, for example, leadership, talk about a number of things they have to take care of. So where exactly is it going? And is it serving the purpose of the generality of us? Those are the questions we ought to be asking. Now, the amount generated per day then, if you are focusing on the Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital in terms of IGF, you are looking at 234,000 cedis. Per week, 1.6 million Ghana cedis. Per month, 7 million Ghana cedis. Nasikano. Ewe yede. But another interesting picture, you also want to look at who is funding Ghana's healthcare delivery. There's a story there as well. Because if you look at the tail of the tape, the blue or the baby blue represents the government of Ghana. The red represents IGF. This little area you see there, that little bar in between is APFA, and you know where we get that from. And then the yellow is from donor support. So we're basically saying that in billions of Ghana cedis, in 2020, the government of Ghana contributed about 6 billion. About another 2 billion came from IGF. Look at the components. That is about what? 25%. Okay? Coming from IGF. then the APFA with just a faint dot there or line, and then donor support giving you another 1.5 billion or so. In 2021, we see things come down because the government of Ghana is contributing about maybe 5.7 billion in there. The IGFs have gone down. APFA somewhat remains stable, but donor support has also gone down. And then in 2022, we see a bit of a rebound. But government's figure is still around the same, but the IGF goes up more than even in 2020. Donor support remains stable, comparable to 2021. The disparities, what they mean for our health, only God knows. But for us, from where we sit, all we are concerned about is to be able to access these hospital facilities, get a bed, and be able to be treated. If that is not being done, there are problems. People will die needless deaths. CAT's situation can be reflected across the country in many ways. There are medical facilities you go to, public, they don't even have thermometers. They don't have them. Or you didn't know. That's the truth. Go and read some of the documents they put out. These very same ministries, they know. But having spoken about health, because what is a nation without a healthy citizenry? I must also talk about something that, I can't think far. Sports, in this country, we can do so much and we invest so much, but and the misleadership. And sometimes when I listen to the sports minister, Yusuf, and some of the others from the local organizing committee, I honestly get infuriated. Because, follow me. Now, we are saying that in terms of the African Games, infrastructure pay, this is how much we say we invested. University of Ghana Stadium, $34 million. This stadium that had already been there, and we did fittings and this and that, 34 million, Cape Coast Stadium, right? The whole stadium was put up for $16 million in 2016. We are spending twice as much plus $2 million to renovate the UG Stadium. No wahala. Bottom and Sports Complex, $145 million. I'm still waiting for the breakdown on how we spent $145 million on this. That breakdown will never come. The Games Village, $16 million. The total there, $195 million. But that's not all. How about the local organizing committee? As for them, $47.7 million to cover the operations of the local organizing committee. So if you add the $47.7 million to the $195, you are getting $242.2 million. I'm not talking about cedis, dollars. That's over 2.6 billion Ghana cedis. It's way more than that because of the exchange rate now. But let's go to the next slide. Now, this 47.7 million given to the local organizing committee, and I'm sure you've seen their cars, their nice cars in traffic. You've seen them, right? And not the only yet, but how to bus our athletes and get them to the spot to perform. That one, they don't know how to do it, but they could buy the fancy cars. You see how we don't think in this country? There's something wrong with us. And when you say it, sometimes people will say, oh, you're being disrespectful. Some of us are not thinking. And even where we are thinking, we are only thinking of our pockets and not how to make the national system work. Because allowances, accommodation, internal transportation, medical equipment, and other, $47.7 million. Sir? So why are we facing these problems? Next slide. Let's go to the next slide, please. Now, if you look at, and here's where it gets even more interesting, Ghana for. In 2019, just about a little 4 years ago, because these games should have happened in 2023, we actually begged for more time. We begged for more time, that it should be extended for us. And in 2024, games that should have been held in 2023, look at what we are doing. But let's look at the tail of the tape. Morocco in 2019, just a few years ago, spent $46 million. Wonderful African games. Wonderful. $46 million. Ghana in 2024, yeah? $242 million. That is a disparity of almost 200 million. That's about $198 million. Difference in less than 5 years. How do we even explain these things? How? Do we do something exceedingly different? And you see, after all of these sums of money, you would expect the bar to be raised very, very, very high. Then you come and see that, oh, the lights at the Cape Coast Stadium went out twice during Ghana's opening game against Ethiopia in the women's football event over the past weekend. Light and we couldn't coordinate properly. No fuel in ambulances. Ambulances. So, there's an issue that the person could have died. No fuel in ambulances. The ambulances were there, but no fuel. Wonderful. Cyclists purchased their bicycles and equipment. And you see, this one, when I was listening to the LOC, and they were talking about, and the sports minister, and is the federation, that didn't let us know. And we didn't know that we needed, fiber bikes rather than whatever, aluminium or whatever bikes. Abba! What kind of thinking is this? So you left everything to them. You didn't know about some of these dynamics. So someone was riding the bike, it broke. Our top athlete in that regard. And so we lost out. And the explanation is, can you imagine that? The cyclists were purchasing their bicycles and equipment. So those 47.7 million, where the money dey? Next slide. Now, players received their equipment late, a lot of them, and it affected their performance. If you're going to train and do stuff, and you are getting your equipment a day before or close to when you have to perform, which athlete, no matter how good, is going to perform at their optimum? Tell me. No, you tell me. Maybe I'll hear you from the other side. Now, badminton players went to the event in the bucket of their coach's truck. There was no way of convening them to the venue. And so players who were going to play badminton had to use their coach's truck and be in the bucket, which is actually something dangerous to do. Clap for Ghana's local organizing committee. Clap for them. Clap for the sports ministry. Wonderful sports ministry. A1. Mwah. No be so. What a shame. What a shame. The Theodosia Oko hockey pitch is still under construction. Now let me quickly get this back. The Theodosia Oko hockey pitch. We'll just rectify this and get it back. It's still under construction. There it is. So let's get back to it. It's still under construction. At this time, when you have sought time, begged for time, the pitch is still under construction. Look at the place. Laying of the turf is yet to commence. We have footage from there. Hockey will now begin on March 17 instead of March 15. And let's go to the last slide because I want us to see this image. It is a very heartbreaking image. You look at the pitch. If we can go to the next slide, the very last one. You look at the pitch, right? And they are now putting, I don't know whether they are painting or they are now sticking the grass, because I'm talking about the UG pitch, University of Ghana pitch, right? Can we see that footage? Can we go to that slide? There's a final slide I have to look at. We are looking at, you will see them actually putting, really? And this is what we spent $47.7 million on. And even that one, the pitch where they are, I'll find time and show it to you. You actually see them, they are now, ISS Sakura, and they are now fixing it. And that's part of the infrastructure, the $195 million. When you talk, you say, what kasa? But in the midst of all of this, I'm not done yet. I told you today, give me time. I need to talk, I need to vent because I can't think far. The 13th African Games, Ghana's performance over the years. I just want to walk you through this. 2011. Now, you are looking at the yellow represents number of medals. The red bar represents position, yeah? In 2011, we won 17 medals. We placed 12th, right? 2015, 19 medals. It increased by 2. we placed 20th. 2019, 13 medals, we placed 15th. 2023, well, as of yesterday, we had about 5 medals. And mind you, the MMA, it's a demonstration sport, so all those medals will count as one. We are currently perched at 14th, yeah? You can see that in terms of medals, you see the trend. 17, 19 slightly up, then a dip from 2019 till now. Of course, these games are not done, so we'll allow time on that. If you look at the positioning, Egypt, South Africa, Nigeria, Algeria, the powerhouses, Tunisia, Mauritius, Madagascar, Eritrea, Morocco, Zimbabwe, Libya, Namibia, Uganda, and there you have Ghana. Poorly organized games, poorly organized, and poorly executed. I'll give them the props for the opening ceremony. That was okay. Poorly organized, poorly executed. I want value for money. You should want that too, whether you are NPP or NDC or whatever. You should want that too. Because it's our money. You may not see it, but it's our money that is being used like this in disgracing us. And oh, that is the pitch. That's where I'm going to end. The $34 million expended on the University of Ghana. Enuni. So I'm painting, so I'm painting mamento. There you are. Ghana for you. See the sides of the pitch. If you see it physically. Anyway, Ghana for. It is what it is. It is what it is. But until we wake up and speak, this kind of stuff will keep going on. Because not just politicians, technocrats, people on authority will feel we can cut corners, do anything, and yeah, we'll get away with it. But let's not allow them to get away with it. Let's hold them firmly to accountability. That's how Ghana will progress. My name is Benjamin Akakpo. These are my blunt thoughts shared with you, raw, hot, unedited, undiluted. When I come here, no mincing words. Thank you for watching, and may God bless our motherland Ghana and make her great and strong.
Women have been the backbone of the Ghanaian economy, contributing significantly to economic growth and development. The World Bank in 2023 estimates that 44% of MSMEs in Ghana are women-owned. Immense opportunities continue to emerge in the global digital economy, and it's important that women leverage relevant digital tools and platforms such as e-commerce to help them thrive and grow their micro, small, and medium-sized entrepreneurial businesses. Regardless of the African Continental Free Trade Area and other governmental agencies' support, most women-led businesses in Ghana still struggle.
Well, I'm in the process of trying to export to other parts of the world. I had that plan last year, 2023, but I couldn't achieve that goal. So this year, in fact today, I filled the form to start the process today. So I'm hoping that by end of this year, I'll be able to send out my products outside.
Last year, what prevented you?
I think for last year, it had to do with time, because I do full-time job, I'm schooling, and I'm also doing this. And this came with a passion of helping people improve their diets, because I'm a nutrition researcher, I'm a nutritionist. So usually when you do a diet menu for a client, they would ask for a nutrition solution.
When some of the countries don't have direct flights, and yogurt has to be always cool in the fridge. So countries who don't have direct flights, we end up with, you can't preserve it so it gets there. But we have ice cream powder and the rest. Those ones, we can export it without any challenges with it. Yes.
The Ghana Exim Bank said It has intensified efforts geared toward building the capacity of small and medium-scale enterprises to scale up and meet export standards through workshops and exhibitions.
What we've done so far, as you've seen, is to give confidence and assurance to the Ghanaian public and the SMEs in general who are into export to build their capacities in terms of processing, quality processing, and also to learn the trade of how to be export ready and prepare themselves for FDA certification and register with GEPA. Last year we brought in some expertise from Thailand to help them and do a training for them from food processing, from product development, and also from storage and preservation. All of this has been done. The board and management of EXIM traveled 3 times to Thailand to understudy how the Asian targets have evolved in terms of food processing and supporting MSME. Thailand touts itself as the kitchen of the world. Ghana is positioned through AFTA to be able also to sell itself with our jollof and other things to the world.
With over 92% of women having no export experience in Ghana, the research inquired if they were well aware of the required certifications needed to export in the future. Only 20% were aware. Some say the process is strenuous.
Have you guys ever exported?
Yes, we have. This is a UK company that is introduced to Ghana, and then we are basically into fruits, desserts, cocktails, and other things.
So if I am to understand you, because you have some sort of relation with someone out there, that's what is making the process easy for you guys?
Yes, please, kind of. That's making it easy, but it's not too easy as you think, because we are Ghanaians, we are not used to this dessert and then fruit setup. So that's how come we have a challenge inside, but I think we are picking up small.
What are some of the engagements with the Ghana Exim Bank, the GEPA and other? What has been the engagement like?
Oh, it's been very, very fruitful and helpful. They are really helping us to promote the brand and also to get the brand in the known of Ghanaians.
The report recommended that there is a need to improve export readiness for women-led businesses within the small and medium enterprises space. It further explained that some level of stratification is needed to find clearly who is export ready.
So we have contemplated, and the board has given approval for us to put what we call pilot plants, where any SME with good idea, with innovations can go to. In the coming weeks, we're going to sign off with the University of Ghana, and the current Minister of Finance has also bought into idea for us to be able to put up a pilot plant worth over $4 million, where any SME and all the people who are here, they don't have to buy their own equipment, which is capital intensive. They can go there. We'll have expertise from the university and from Exim to be able to support them to create the market and commercialize their idea.
Female-led businesses were also urged to personally seek the required information to be export ready. It's concluded that there is a need to support businesses with export certification.
I know people who sell products outside. I met someone at a fair last Saturday who was able to send her products. In fact, I'll say she motivated me to start the process.
Did he tell you how tedious the process or how seamless the process was?
Oh, it seems she didn't have a lot of difficulty. I think usually when you do networking, you get some information. When you don't have information, you think that it's difficult to do so. But I think she had the right network, she had the right contacts, and she's able to take her products out there to exhibit. Yeah, so she told me about GEPA, and so I've also started a process with GEPA, so that's what I plan to do.
Meanwhile, the Ministry of Finance has indicated that it is engaging more stakeholders to support small and medium enterprises value chain players to aid in bridging the growing gap in financing.
No, the minister feels that after all said and done, whatever we need to strengthen our economy will be on the back of the private sector. And so everything that we at the Ministry of Finance can also do to support the growth of the private sector, to engineer growth and stabilize the economy, we will do. So if you would remember, or if you do recall, the first thing the Minister of Finance said when he was appointed was the fact that he's going to focus on small and medium sized businesses, because he believes that this sector of the business are the right channels that we can use to stabilize the economy and also propel growth. And so I'm very, very happy with what I'm seeing here. And the packaging is excellent. And Exim tells me the vendors have all been through quite a number of processes to see what we are seeing here. And so we'd like to congratulate Exim and tell them that we are behind them, we'll support them financially to make sure that they produce more of these small and medium size enterprises or businesses, because we believe that this kind of business is the engine of growth for our nation. And so I'm very happy, and this is my first time of being to such a fair.
The Ghana Export Promotion Authority is also pushing for a capacity building initiative that is aimed at ensuring that SMEs become export viable, especially in the area of non-traditional export, as the authority seeks to realize $25 billion by 2030 from the current $3.5 billion. James Ishen's report for Joy Business.